Hey, it's Grottu Orloff, October 1st, 2020. I was doing a video earlier showing jack chick tracks, these things that you find all around, or at least I haven't seen them recently, but they're little religious tracks, and I did a video a few hours ago, and then at the end I started talking about religion and how I believe that there is life after death, and that and I remember a story my aunt told me how she had actually died, I guess, in the operating room, and seen her family, and there's a lot of stories like that. But I meant, and I told you about my friend that passed away, who was just a couple years older than me, a few years back, and how I've seen him like in dreams, and like very, very real, and how he told me to remember a particular Bible verse, and then I couldn't remember it. He said, "You're gonna forget it. You're gonna forget it. I know when you wake up, you're gonna forget it." And I couldn't remember the number, but I remember the book at least. The book in the Bible, James. No, John. It's John. I told my wife. She said, and then I said, "Now I've forgotten the name of the book," but she said, "No, it was John." I don't know what I said in that last video, but anyway, what I forgot to say in that last video is that a teacher where I was working, she was my age. She had a heart attack 2 years back, and she died and was revived. And she said, and she had a dog that had just passed away a few months before. She was at work. Uh, there was, she could see on she had a camera in her house that she could see on her phone, and she could see the dog was in distress, and she needed to get home, and the uh, assistant principal wouldn't let her, because she's, "You've got to go to this meeting," and she said, "Forget it, I'm leaving," and she got in trouble for that and written up, and later she moved to another school. But regardless, she dearly loved that dog. She said uh, when she passed away, and right before she was revived, what she saw was her dog jumping up on her. So that's one thing that's always disturbed me, because there are some people that preach in their churches that animals don't go to heaven. They don't have souls. And if you've ever had a dog or cat, you know that they do. I mean, they do. They're very intelligent and very loving, and it would just, and that really encouraged me, and that really brought me to tears, because I just lost my beloved dog that I'd had for 10 years, and a cat too, that also just as beloved, and so for her to tell me, then I know, okay, so now I know from someone that I trust, that's very down to earth, that pets are gonna be there for you too, in addition to your family. So at least that's what I believe. I was making notes. John Waters, the filmmaker, completely changing subjects here. John Waters, the filmmaker, wrote an essay once. It's in one of his books, and it's just a long list of things he hates in society, and I love his writing. And I started making a list of things that annoy me about modern society. I'm going to show some comic books here in a little bit, so don't worry. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if this is that interesting to you. One thing I hate is people using the term Karen for these annoying women that stick their noses into things, um, and that seem entitled, or whatever the current terminology is. Uh, I don't think it's right to use a name, a, an actual name, as an insult. I mean, there are a lot of people named Karen, and maybe it's because the vice president's wife is Karen that these fucking idiots want to use that. But imagine if your name is Karen and it becomes just an epithet or an insult that people are throwing about. "Oh, she's a Karen." I think that's pretty messed up. I don't like using. She's an annoying. Use the word bitch, but don't use someone's name. I don't think that's right. Another thing that annoys me, thing two on my list, are comic shops that don't have old comics. We have a back issue section. It goes back 3 months. I don't. That does. The comic store doesn't interest me. If you don't have old comics, uh, you no longer have my interest. I'm sure there are great comics coming out today. I'm seeing people, here's my haul from the comic store on Wednesday, and I've been watching some of them. Looks like there's some cool stuff coming out right now. Looks like everyone's excited about some Batman Joker, three Jokers or something storyline. I don't know what that is. I picked up some free posters at the comic store they had as you're leaving for that. Uh, I don't know what's going on now in current comics, and I'm seeing some recently where like the Crypt Keeper of Castle Hills and different collectors are showing what they're picking up now, and some of it looks interesting. I don't have a lot of cash right now for the next couple of months, and I don't know, a comic that's $3.99, $4.99. I'd rather spend that money on older comics if I had the money. But I'm not gonna just say there can't be anything good published after a certain year. I know there's great stuff coming out now, but I don't know what it is. And I just think if you're a comic, there's a lot of comic stores that just exist based on they have Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments on the weekend and Pokemon and stuff, and all these people show up and. I like a store that has comic books. Maybe they have some toys, records, science fiction paperbacks, whatever. But when all the gaming started to come in and that took over half or 3/4 of the store, and there's no old comics, that's not my kind of store. There's too many stores like that. That's my thing number two that I hate. Thing number three that I hate is hatred. And I wrote, hatred must end. Because I drive down the store, Joe Biden, don't be Joe Biden. See, I drive down the street and I see these Joe Biden signs. And it really makes me angry because I know what a horrible creep and criminal he's been. If he was just a regular nice guy and was facing this dementia that he apparently is going through, I'd feel sorry for him. I mean, but he's always been so corrupt and awful that it makes, he's so worthy of hatred, but I don't want to live my life in hatred. I don't want to just hate the people that put that Biden sign up. Just, that seems like that's how the other side is. I'd put a Trump sign up, but people would tear it up and they'd probably, throw something, egg my car or something. So I don't want to really, the fact that I've got flags in front of the house is probably dangerous enough. It attracts the attention. It's because the other side seems a little psychotic, a little deranged sometimes. But I don't want to hate these people. I know that they just don't know. And most of them just hate Trump so much that it's just anyone that's not Trump. I know that's because they've heard all this stuff about him, and they believe it because the whole media is against him. So anyway, I said it. Hatred's got to end. I've got to stop hating these people that hate. I got to stop hating the people that hate me. I hate YouTube ads. So I'm recording music off of YouTube, and sometimes they try to get the ad in between songs, and sometimes it's like right in the middle of a song. It reminds me of being a kid, and you had an 8-track tape, and it would switch tracks in the middle of a song. The song would just stop. You hear, and then the song would start up again, and you have to be a certain age to know what the hell I'm talking about there. Another thing I hate is variant covers. I know it's cool to have artwork by all these different people, but I just don't want to buy the same comic 10, 15, 20, 50 times the same comic just for a different cover. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I've never liked the idea. And to me, that just is an exploitation of the obsessive compulsive tendencies that collectors have. The fact that we're collectors, we have that. And it's a sign of people that are obsessive compulsive tend to be higher IQ. I'm not saying I'm smart, but I started to develop this obsessive compulsive or OCD tendencies when I was in fifth to sixth grade. It was a lot of it's a stressful time. There's a lot of bullying and bullshit going on about that time, and I remember leaving school's out for the day, so I'd look at my desk to make sure I didn't leave any books there. Okay, no books there. So then I check again, and I had to check 3 times to make sure that there weren't books the first time. They're not going to magically appear, but it was just my mind was forcing me to do this. And there's different things, where girls don't want to step on the crack on the sidewalk because it could break your mama's back, and sometimes it starts with hand washing. And my middle brother there were 3 brothers in the family. I was the youngest. He really had it bad with the hand washing. He read something about Howard Hughes and how he wanted to keep himself clean, and it flipped him out. And then he started carrying a rag, like paper toweling, in his back pocket that was drenched in Lysol. And he'd open doors with it, and he just reeked of Lysol everywhere he went. It just permeated the room. It was horrible. And it runs in my family, coming from my mother, the obsessive compulsive stuff, and then it's part of why you become a collector. And now it's when you're under a lot of stress, then it tends to come out. And then I would do this, because these Jack Chick tracks, these comics that I was showing you earlier, they scared the heck out of me as a kid, and so I started doing this obsessive compulsive inner monologue prayer in my head to drive out bad thoughts, and just insanity. But I beat it, and just through sheer force of will is how you get through obsessive compulsive disorder. But I think it's an industry that's bankrupt, and they're taking advantages of the fact that all these collectors have to a certain degree that disorder, and making them buy all these covers. It's like, one cover is kind of okay, in my opinion. But do not get mad at me if you love buying all those. Hey, just not me. Face diapers. I heard someone, I think David Icke, on the internet, even though he's banned from YouTube, he was calling them face diapers. The things we have to wear over our faces that really don't work, but it's just a psychological way for people to, there are people that hate. I come out of the store and I tear the thing off as soon as I get out the door. Now, certain politicians, like I think Biden, he wants you to when you walk out your front door, you're supposed to have that on. You're supposed to have it on whenever you're outside of your home. Wear it in your car. I see people driving around wearing them in their car. And what they're doing is they're like these people that self-flagellate. They're doing it. I must suffer. I'm showing everyone that I'm suffering because it's that evil orange Cheeto man in the presidency. He brought this virus on us, and it's causing us to suffer. So I'm going to show my suffering. So what are you going to do after the election? You're going to take the mask off? And that brings me to people that wear the shirts that say science. Notice this says Batman. I'm not going to walk around with a shirt that says science, a little picture of an atom. Yes, I believe in science. That president, he doesn't listen to science. He doesn't listen about global warming and all that stuff. He's just really dumb. He's really dumb. And meanwhile, you're making you're working, barely struggling from month to month, and this guy's got gold stairs. Not that that's a sign of greatness or anything, but well, he inherited all his money from his father. His father lent him $1 million. I wish I had that as a start. as a young man, but he turned it into billions. If I won the lottery and got $1 million, it would be gone by Saturday. I'd be living in a mansion. I'd have every Silver Age comic in the world, and I would have no money left. And the same thing with you. Can you turn $1 million into billions? Maybe you can, but just because he's got that New York accent and he's kind of coarse and he's got stupid hair. I mean, my hair's not that. Trump is smarter than you think. He's really outthinking these people. Oh well. Face diapers. They take away your self-respect. They're muzzle. And I don't know. You know those old Victorian era postcards, the French postcards, where you see a woman's ankle and it's like it was pornography, or you see a woman smoking a cigarette and it's like, just like, wow, you can see her ankle. I wonder when the fact that the lower part of someone's face is going to become a fetish. Another thing is now having to wear that mask, that fucking mask all the time. I read a Spider-Man comic and I like, you no longer want to be Spider-Man. You feel sorry for him. It's like, how does he breathe in that mask? It's like, I'd rather be Batman. You can freaking breathe because you cover up. Well, another thing. Speaking of masks, this guy, he went into a Target. He's on YouTube. He's kind of an asshole troll, and he had on a mask like Zorro or the Lone Ranger, and he went into Target and they're saying, you need to wear a mask, you need to put on your mask, and he takes all the annoying clerks that are on him, he goes out to the front door, it says you must wear a face covering, or it doesn't say you need to cover this part of your face, so forget you, and he went ahead and actually bought his item and left. And you ever think about the Lone Ranger, the fact that he's out in the desert in the sun, right? Wearing the mask here. Although some of the old comics, the old radio it said he was a masked man, but it never said where his mask was, So some of the old comics or posters, or I think the earliest movie serial, the Lone Ranger's covered like we have to be for this fucking flu. But it's now established from the 50s Clayton Moore TV show that he wore a mask here. Okay, so he's wearing a mask like that in the sun, and he takes it off because, sometimes the Lone Ranger does other disguises. He'll disguise himself as an old man. If you're into the Lone Ranger mythos enough, you know that he does other kinds of disguises. Well, wouldn't the fact that he's going to have a tan everywhere except right around his eyes kind of give him away? Batman, is, according to the comics the way they are now, doesn't go out in the daytime, so he's just a nighttime creature, so you wouldn't have to worry about the fact that he's got a tan here and up here it's all very pale. But that wasn't the way the comics used to be. He was always out in the daytime. And then the TV show, from the 60s, he would have had a difference in complexion and tan from top to bottom. Science shirts. Hollywood hates redheads. I've got that there. Notice that when there's a redhead, like Lindsay Lohan, pretty soon she dyes her hair blonde, and it's like, okay, Lena Lang in Smallville is suddenly Hawaiian. Or Jimmy Olsen in Supergirl is a person of color. It's like, we don't want to cast redheads. People don't. So, well, what's wrong with redheads? I mean, it seems like, how many redhead stars can you think of in Hollywood? It seems like any time there's a person with red hair, they recast them and bring in someone different. I put attacks on religion. Yeah, a lot of it seems like it's very okay in the media and TV shows and everywhere to attack people that are religious. Oh, I hate the term new normal. The new normal. But I don't live in a normal world. I never have, and I don't like that new normal. And now there's an article on CNN that says Uh, we may never have go back to the old way. This may be the way it's going to be forever. Things will never be the way they were in January. Of course, CNN's a bunch of fucking flakes. I put Beisel versus Spirit. I guess it's pronounced Beisel. Okay, the old Halloween decorations from the 50s and 60s that you remember. The pumpkins and the skulls and all the cool Halloween decorations you remember from a kid if you're my age. Where if you look at the bottom, they're made by a company, Beistle, Beisel. Now people buy all this shit at Spirit, and it's like it's like a rubber, it's like maybe there's a hook going through someone's eye, or some intestines coming out of some zombie groaning. It's like slasher movies when they came in about 79, 80, have destroyed Halloween, and now it's no longer this innocent, cute thing. I like the cute old Halloween stuff. Now it's all this horrific, gory, uh, autopsy looking shit. Halloween has become an autopsy. Everything looks like an autopsy shit. And also, they need to put the apostrophe back in Halloween, right between the two E's. I always write it that way. I refuse to change. Someone was saying, well, Kang has been is going to be played by an African American actor, so maybe Marvel is going to make the Fantastic Four African American. And they said, well, and if you don't like it, you're just someone that doesn't like change. You're just a bad person. And people, it's like whenever they recast characters that have been around 50, 60 years, I mean, if it's a character no one's aware of and you change it but if characters have been around for generations and they look a certain way, uh, that's just the way people expect them to be, and so if you object to the Fantastic Four being changed, you're a bad person. You don't like change. You're a racist even, and it's like, well, if we made a movie with Sherlock Holmes being played by an Asian or an Eskimo, would that be okay? How about Sherlock Holmes being from Fort Worth? He could wear a big cowboy hat like McCloud. Well, no, that wouldn't work because he's British. It's established. That's what makes he's very British. Well, okay. Um, Marvel's Fantastic Four was very progressive for its time. That's where the Black Panther came from. They had a character, Wyatt Wingfoot. They had an elderly lady, a witch, even represented the witches, with Agatha Harkness. Unless you're going to establish there's another alternate universe where the Fantastic Four are African American, then there's this other world where they look the way we've thought they looked for 50, 60 years. I don't like change. It was okay with Nick Fury. That was great. I accepted it. But don't start changing everything just to be hip and progressive and so the Antifa like you, because the Antifa aren't going to your movies. They're busy hanging out looking for their next meth overdose. Yeah, I think the casting of characters that have been established for generations should stay with the way they were designed by, Jack Kirby or whoever. What else did I put on my hate list? I can't even read my own writing. That's okay. So, with that, that's my list of things that I don't like. Oh, Hollywood is actually taking it one step farther. Now, if you saw this in the news, in order to qualify for Best Picture, starting I think 2 years from now, they're grandfathering this in, I guess. No movie will be considered for a Best Picture Academy Award unless it has in a lead role either someone that's handicapped, maybe deaf, is a minority, person of color. Uh, it's like so if you make someone said, well, what about if the movie 1917? It's all a bunch of British and German soldiers during World War One. That movie wouldn't be able to qualify, or The Godfather wouldn't be able to qualify for an Academy Award because it's just a bunch of Italian mafia guys. And it's like, well, uh, I don't think you should force shoehorn in diversity. Movies should be diverse and people should be represented, but I think there's a way to do it without. Hollywood is crazy, and right now Hollywood is completely been sold. Like several of the studios are owned by China. Uh, AMC movie theaters owned by China. The Rock, the wrestler, came out the other day for Joe Biden because he has to. China is his market. China is where, these big budget action films, the really stupid ones like the ones that he's in, which you can understand even if you don't know English, you can understand the movie and there's not much talking in it, just explosions, and it can easily be dubbed into another language. They're his main fans. China's his main market, so he has to. Even if maybe that really is his political slant, but if it wasn't, he's gotta do it anyway, because his that's his bread and butter. The Rock. I used to kind of like him, Maybe we need to dig up Stone Cold Steve Austin somewhere. He can be our next action superstar, and we can kind of no, Joe Biden, indeed. All right, I'll show you some comics. God damn it! This is why America is a great place, because this photograph was taken in America, and just look at this. The fact that this exists, a big Frankie Aurora model kit, menacing this woman, amazing. I found this real cheap at an antique mall, an issue of Cracked, in terrible condition. Someone's done all their math homework on it. This is from November 1967. I was like 2, but I just love the old stuff. Old John Severin art and everything. Ooh, they really needed some scrap paper for their math homework, man. Anywhere there's blank space, they're working out math. Oh, I was just talking about the Lone Ranger. Here's the Lone Rancher. Can't, it's, it's LBJ, who should be on my hatred list. He was a terrible president. Man, I have 2 copies of this. John Steele, Secret Agent. I loved when Gold Key on the back had the full painting. And Gold Key, of course, inside, the artwork was never quite as good. I don't like all that wasted space in the panels either. I mean, look at all this wasted space. Gold Key, the covers always promised great delights, and inside, it wasn't quite as good, usually. This is interesting. It looks like at one point there must have been a 15-cent sticker put over the 12-cent. It was probably right about the time that the changeover. When was this? Yeah, that's a 64, I think. This is obviously their attempt to do James Bond without buying the rights. Oh, I don't know. I don't know why that sticker was on there. I didn't remove it. Here's a Jet Dream. This is their attempt to do like an Emma Peel comic. They didn't do the painting on the back. This is for amateur fishermen. Oh, here's a gold key, King Leonardo, and they do have the cover on the back, but it's exactly the same as the front. And it's not like a gorgeous painting where really you're seeing more of it on the back. You're really seeing the exact same amount. But holy shit, did I love Tooter the Turtle. Remember him? Hello, Mr. Wizard. Where am I going in time today? And then there was a lizard that talked like Albert Einstein that sent Tooter the Turtle on missions or something, and he learned lessons. What else do I have here? Oh, yes. It's still shocking that Marvel put this out. There's some TV show coming on now, so all the crazy people on YouTube are, we've got to invest in this. I've got to get all these Son of Satan comics and send them off to CGC because they're making a TV show of it. It's called Hellstrom. Well, of course, if they only made a TV show where he looked like that, it would be a fucking phenomenal hit, I think. Because just, who would even believe that they would actually do that? Instead, he's some guy with a beard, that's, God damn, I love this ad. Look at this Underground Comics looking ad for t-shirts. And then his sister, Satana, he basically, the premise is, it's like Blade, who's half vampire, right, half human. Well, his dad is Satan, right? It's obviously, because it's called the Son of Satan, and his mom is a human. But his good side is won out, and he's like an exorcist, right? Because this is in the 70s when The Exorcist was making money in theaters, and he, look at this value stamp. There were morons that actually cut these out of their comic books and put them in albums and ruined a lot of 70s comics that way. His sister was Satana, but she was fully evil and was like a vampirella type, right? And I think she sucked the souls out of men. And so in the TV show, they're just calling her Anna, because we just don't want to get too outrageous. If we do that, people just won't believe it, and it won't be a realistic show. Well, go balls to the wall, all out crazy, like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy, or what they're doing with the new Doctor Strange movie, or Thor Ragnarok. Just be fucking nuts, and people will respect it, and they'll love it, because that's what you got to do. Oh, when we made that shitty Fantastic Four movie in Galactus, we don't want to show this big giant man. The audiences just think that's too stupid. We'll just make it this menacing cloud in outer space. Fuck that. Go nuts with it. And you will have the audience there. Put them in their costumes from the comic. And people will love it. And for the most part, the Marvel movies have been pretty good in that respect. Here's little Abner teaching you how to survive a nuclear war with little Mr. CD, Civil Defense. Yeah, yes indeed. I'm not doing a good job of showing you the comic, am I? Yes indeed. Little Abner. I love Little Abner. Look at this old comic. This is from the Golden Age. Inside, it's just actually literal reprints from the Sunday funny comic pages in the newspaper. But it's great because it's Golden Age, and look at these ads. It's really hard to tell if you can even see that, the camera setup I've got. This is from, I still don't have my glasses here. It's from a time that I can't read. because I don't have my glasses on. But, you know, clearly it's the 40s. Oh, and Fearless Fosdick. It was Little Abner's favorite comic strip character. He was a Dick Tracy parody that was ultra violent. And he would always shoot at the bad guy and wind up killing 40, 50 people. And you'd see all the bullet holes in him. And yeah, Fearless Fosdick. And Al Cap's also a spinoff from Little Abner. Look at these rubber masks on the back. Boy, Governor of Virginia would love that mask. The thing about Little Abner, Al Cap was a great cartoonist. And when he got tired, didn't want to do his comic strip, he hired people like Frank Frazetta to ghost for him. He had great, he knew what he was doing. But he was also a little perverted. And so Little Abner, you'll see like, you look at the trees behind him, and he'll draw vaginas in the, you know, just be a hole in the tree, but you can really tell what he's doing. He'll hide little things in there. And the Shmoo was this character. It was a little animal that its only goal in life was to be eaten. So if you looked at the Shmoo and you were hungry and he knew you wanted to eat him, he would fall over just dead from sheer pleasure because he knew you wanted to eat him, and then you would eat him. And that's... But the thing about the Shmoo, in a lot of the drawings of the Shmoo, people have said that he looks a little bit too much like a male sex organ. There was a Shmoo cartoon on in the late 70s, right about 1980, and they had the Thing from the Fantastic Four, but without the rest of the Fantastic Four, and he was some stupid teenager with a ring, and he'd say, "Thing, ring, do your thing," and he'd turn into the Thing. When Hollywood and the Saturday morning cartoon producers had no respect for the original source material. So I'm so glad when I see movies being made now that have respect for the original source material. So I don't like it when people, like I was saying a minute ago, they want to change things, and then if you don't like that they changed it, they demonize you. You are not progressive. You don't want to see the world change. You want everything stuck in 1955. You're even a racist. Bullshit. I just think the Fantastic Four should look the way, and well, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Yes, this is on every little girl's bedroom wall back in 1970. This is for those of you that are deaf watching this. This is or blind. This is Land of the Giants comic book from Gold Key. With you know, sometimes they didn't bother to do paintings. It's just photos, and then the interior art is like just kind of boring. But don't get me wrong, I love Gold Key. And here's someone that was real slick, and they put holes in it so they could hide this inside their binder at school and read it and make it look like they're doing their work in class, and they're really reading The Kingdom of Terror. But this artwork is incredible. And of course this comes from, and it has the seal of Super Comics quality. So you know it's good. Always loved this ad, this insane looking fellow. So that's that. This is my first Spider-Man comic. Whenever I was sick as a child, and I was sick a lot, my mom would go out and buy about 3 comic books. So she bought this issue of Spider-Man once, and she did pretty good. She picked up this. She picked up Man-Thing #1. She picked up Hulk. Was it 180, where Wolverine actually first appeared in the last panel? These are all comics she just bought and said, here, you know. She didn't really know what I liked. She just picked them randomly off the stands. She did pretty good for a random pick. But when I first got this, I wasn't that interested in reading it. I didn't know Spider-Man. I guess a few months later, I got my first Fantastic Four comic. It was a big Marvel Treasury Edition #2, and I read through that, loved it, and that made me want to go back and read all the other, like this, because it's also a Marvel superhero. And then I wound up loving this, and then I started buying it from that point on. But at first, this just kind of sat unread until I realized Fantastic Four showed me, go back and read this, young man, and I did. This is my childhood copy. I kept it pretty good. Look at this, $6 Million Man. And look, someone's doing voodoo on a $6 Million Man doll. Or action figure. They call them action figures now, but they were dolls back then. Don't let anyone tell you different. Yeah, I don't know if he still works. See, what you would do is you'd roll up his arm. All right. Oh shit. The rubber looks like it's rotted. There was rubber. It used to be pliable. You'd roll it up, and then there were you could remove the little electronic components in his arm, but it looks like over the years the rubber has aged and dried up. This is the first time I've actually rolled up his sleeve in a good probably 20 years, and I'm realizing that you could look through the hole in the back of his head and see bionic vision. I wonder if you can see. Maybe if I hold this up, the camera, there's the camera. Can you see me through that cost $6 million to have vision like that? Oh well. $6 Million Man, a wonderful TV show. I'm going to close with this, and I'm going to come back, but this is Spanish language Spider-Man. Look, you got a whole little poster you can put on your wall of J. Jonah Jameson. But boy, is he smoking or what? It looks like that. Is that the frickin' hell? That's like those idiots that vape, and they create these big giant sculptures of smoke because they're so cool with their water vapor or whatever the fuck it is, whatever stuff that comes out of your mouth. Oh, and here's Daredevil. My wife is half Honduran and half Irish, so she could translate this for me. But I assume asombroso means amazing. Hombre arana, man spider. The amazing man spider. So that's that. And look, here's a Spider Woman, La Mujer Arana. And of course, this is drawn to bring great attention to her buttocks. And the back cover. Yes, indeed. Yeah, Spider-Woman and She-Hulk were... What is this printed across the middle of the page? It's like something printed across. These two characters were created because Marvel was afraid that if they didn't do something with those names, another rival comic company could put out a Spider-Woman or She-Hulk, because those names weren't copywritten. So they had to quickly rush out and, from what I understand, create these characters. So they were created for legal reasons. Then there was a Spider-Woman TV cartoon that was not anything that special to me. Yeah, incredible. Now here's another one. I don't know where I wound up with all these Spider-Woman Spanish language comics. I assume that there's a difference in price from whatever country this came from. I'm not assuming this is from Mexico. Yeah, printed in Mexico. I mean, it could have been any South American country. Looks like they have a Spider-Woman story, and then in the back they've got one of these 50s science fiction reprints from Marvel. Man, this artwork is not very good. Just looking at what the artwork is, it's not that astounding. Still more. And then they got this little poster on the back. Nuestra heroína combate al crimen. Crimen. I don't know how to pronounce Spanish very well. Looking more at the stories in the back. Yes, indeed. And another one? What the heck? Here's another one. Another one that draws attention to her rear end. Yeah, and this is also from a time period, maybe this is the 90s, I don't know. Whatever time period this is reprinted from, this is not my favorite style of art here. But then the old reprint, look at that, Martian. Marciano. That must be the Spanish way of saying Martian. Here's a classic cover. It's another Spanish. Oh, look at the lizard. He's El Lagarto. What a cool drawing. What is that saying? No te salvarás. I guess that's him talking. Oh. No te puedes detener, araña. No te salvarás. So I guess he's saying you won't survive. I would assume that's what he's saying. I guess these are fans, a listing of fans that have written in. I don't know. Peter Parker's saying something at the bottom. I don't know what he's saying. This is only $7. Those others were $10, so I assume this is earlier. And I know that's not dollars, it's probably pesos. But, man, that's like the price of comics today. And this is, oh shit, someone's ruined this comic. Because look, they have coloring pages at the bottom, and someone's actually colored them in. How weird to make it half comic book, half coloring book. Fantastic Four is Los Cuatro Fantásticos. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This says, what does that say, 82? I have no idea. I got to get my reading glasses. I still got a stack of comics I'm going to show you in another video. But I'm going to wrap this up because I need to go to the restroom. Take care.